When I wrote this book about the problem of being paralyzed by choice, I was to a large extent writing about my own experience and the experience of people I know well, people of my generation. And what I expected is that young people would read the book or hear me speak and think, he's old, he doesn't know how to take advantage of all the freedom and all the choice that we have. We know how to do it. Of course it's a problem for him. He's old, we should just pull the plug on him, but why would he take it away from us? We are the masters of the universe. So that was the reaction I got, and I would say, oh yeah? So how come when you graduate from college, you wander around from job to job not knowing what to do? How come when you fall in love, you break up every 3 months? How come you're all seeing psychotherapists? If you're the masters of the universe, what's your problem? And then they would, maybe you have a point. So I think that more and more young people are discovering that no one can master all of the possibilities that are available without, at the very least, being filled with doubt that they've made bad decisions. The difficulty, if you go back in time 100 years, when people had very little choice, both about goods and services and about social things. You know, they did the job that their parents did. They lived in the city their parents lived in. They followed the religion that their parents followed. Not much to choose. So compared to that, adding options makes people's lives better. We assumed that more choice is better than some. Well, now we are living in that world, and it turns out that that reasonable assumption that more is always better is wrong. There can be 500 cell phones in the store, but you don't really have a choice of 500 cell phones unless you have a substantial amount of money. So the effective amount of choice that you have is a function of your income. The more money you make, the more choice you have. So my idea is this. We now know that when people have too much choice, it makes them unhappy. What that means is that when people have too much money, it makes them unhappy, because when they have too much money, they have too much choice. It's a case where redistributing income from rich to poor makes everybody happier. The more inequality there is, the less happy the country is, rich and poor. So you'll make people happier by evening out the distribution of income. But the only way to do that is with a tax policy that taxes the rich more than it taxes the poor. There are certain strategies that people use, perhaps not even realizing it, to make numbers of choices manageable. Using recommendations, always shopping in the same store. You always shop in the same store, all you have available is what the store has available. And when you actually had to drag yourself from one part of town to another, it wasn't worth it to shop in another store. So there were practical limits. Now, with the internet and click and websites, you can look at everything in the universe without ever leaving the comfort of your living room. Google's aim was to give people access to all of the world's information. That was their explicit aim, and they have largely succeeded. And what we have learned is that when you have all of the world's information, it's exactly as good as having none. Because when you have it all, you don't know where to begin looking. So the next Google, the next prize goes to the people who come up with the best filtering and recommendation software to sort of crawl through all of the world's information and give you only the information that you actually need. Google does a very good job of that, but I'm sure that there will be better ones coming down because people will demand it because they can't get through a day anymore without it. The research that's been done in the last 15 or 20 years on what makes people happy, what determines happiness, has pretty much shown that the single most important thing is close relations to other people. To have close relations to friends, family, and community is to have your choices limited. And here's what I think. I think that in the world we live in, anything that reduces options has become a benefit. It's, a fishbowl is one way to reduce options. You live in a fishbowl, what's going on outside the fishbowl might just as well be in Mars. It looks like it's limited in the fishbowl, but if the fishbowl goes away and everything is possible, nothing is possible. So that's the kind of thing that I imagine, and it makes the challenge to people like me, psychologists, much more difficult, because it's hard to get the right answer to the question, what should we put inside the fishbowl and what should we leave out of it?